Nigeria's opposition candidates for president say they will challenge the results of Saturday's election. The country's Electoral Commission declared the ruling APC party candidate Bola Tinubu as the winner. The Labour Party, whose candidate Peter Obi came third, says it plans to challenge the results in court. Another major contender in the election, the People's Democratic Party (PDP), is also challenging the results. The PDP and Labour held a joint briefing Tuesday, calling the result a sham hours before Tinubu was declared winner. They claim the vote was rigged and want a revote. Well, let's cross over to Deji Badimosi. He's in Lagos for us. Deji, what more can you tell us about the presidential election result challenge in court, and has the process begun?
Well, the process doesn't begin so very fast, Beatrice. It takes a while. I mean, for instance, they've indicated, the opposition parties now have indicated their intention to go to court, but they will have to gather enough evidence because, I mean, this would be about evidence anyway. So they will have to take their time to gather enough hard evidence that the thing can stand the test in court. So even though there's a time limit within which they will have to file their case, we're not there. I mean, the time limit, they're still within the time limit now. So they've actually not done anything yet. They've actually not gone to court yet. But obviously, they've made it very clear that they're going to do so. But not until they're able to gather enough hard evidence to support their case, I don't think the process will begin so very fast.
Well, Deji, going back to the presidential result, what happens next constitutionally, and when do we expect the swearing in of the president-elect? Okay,
so what's going to happen now is that the president-elect would use this period now to set up what is known as his transition committee now. So this will be men and women that he would select from across of course, from the party and across the country. They would now sit down to plan his the transition program for him, and you know the transition committee would also have to meet with the transition committee of the outgoing government. So all of that would have to be sorted out, and then the president-elect would be sworn in on May the 29th. So. Not until May the 29th, he still remains president-elect. So the swearing-in ceremony happens May 29th. So by May 29th, the president-elect becomes president. So, but for this period, of course, it's going to be all about planning and planning for the ceremony as well, planning to ensure that there's a smooth takeover now, if you like. So that's just what is going to happen now. So May 29th is actually the swearing-in date.
All right, so Deji Badimosi joining us there from Lagos. Well, let's get more from the Nigerian election. Professor Freedom Onuoha, senior lecturer at the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and a security sector consultant, is joining us now from Lagos as well. Professor Onuoha, thank you for joining us on the program. Voter turnout in Nigeria's election is said to be 27%, one of the lowest since the end of military rule in 1999. Why do you think this was the case, and are the results then legitimate?
Well, I think that what has come out in terms of the assessment of voter turnout in the 2023 general elections have raised a lot of debates concerning what we have seen in the previous 6 elections. And people are right to think that it's either that the elections we've had in the previous elections we've had since the return to democracy in 1999 have been inflicted, or there are some factors that have accounted for the very low voter turnout in 2023. As someone who actually voted and monitored the elections around the vicinity of Nsukka, I think to a very large extent there was massive and impressive voters turnout in the 2023 elections. I've participated in the previous elections, 6 previous elections since 1999. And for me, I think that is quite impressive and massive voter turnout. In terms of those we saw on the field, are the voters who actually wanted to participate. But I think that overall, when we do the calculation, in terms of the number of persons who collected their PVC against the number that was announced, there's a sense that you can argue that several factors may have played out in terms of why you have that low voter turnout, in quotes. First is the fact that before the election, just a few weeks to the elections, INEC moved around people's polling units in a bid to decongest those polling units, and did not really communicate early enough that will enable people to locate their new polling units. So a lot of persons struggled during the election day to locate their polling unit. They actually came out to vote, but they found it extremely difficult to locate their polling unit. I saw 2 or 3 persons who are actually lecturers in the University of Nigeria and Soka who actually explained to me that they had their voters card and they wanted to vote, only for them to realize that that morning that their voters, their polling unit was not actually their original polling unit. The second factor I think that's also played out very clearly is the fact that there's a lot of logistic challenges on the part of INEC. Electoral materials did not arrive on time. A lot of persons waited. Some persons gave up. Even by the time people came out, it was quite very late for some persons to vote. But more importantly is the fact, and I think is the third factor, more importantly is this deliberate attempt by some established political parties to mobilize violence in order to suppress voters in areas they believe is opposition strongholds. And we had these kind of incidents where reported a lot of media video recorded video evidence of that, particularly in Lagos and some parts of Imo State, Delta, and the those states. We saw that there was deliberate attempt on the part of established political parties to mobilize violence in large scale, to use thugs, to suppress people from voting. In fact, there was cases where they clearly indicated the particular party that voters ought to vote, and if they are not ready to vote for that particular party, that they should leave. To a very large extent, when people actually weigh the option of going against what those thugs are declaring, you could understand that people are likely going to take the lesser risk, which is actually to leave those polling units. So a lot of factors played out. If you go by the real sense of the number of persons who actually came out to vote, I think it was larger than the 27% that we are seeing.
All right, Professor Freedom Onuoha joining us there from Lagos. Thank you.